Trust, baby.
No.
Alright, let's get genre on.
Alright.
Ba-boom.
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 So we're here with AP Music Entertainment, Joe Vulpis, and this is for exclusively for PopImpressKA Journal. So, Joe, you grew up in New Jersey?
No, I grew up in New York. I'm born and raised in New York, Queens, a little stint in Long Island, and I just came right over the Hudson here, really just because I like the water. I needed more space, and this place just worked out. I actually never thought I'd ever live in Jersey. Nothing personal to all the Jersey people out there. I love Jersey. Well, I like North Jersey. So I decided to stay after I rented a place first, and then I decided to buy a place. And I'm able to do everything out of this place and then travel where I need to go.
Now, is New York your favorite place to be?
They're all my favorite, Olga. We don't alienate anybody.
Great.
I love the whole world. No, I love Manhattan. I'm in Manhattan every day. I'm between the studios and just socially and whatever. I mean, Manhattan is really kind of part of the curriculum. You know, everybody you work with at some point is like either we're working in Manhattan, we're going there for dinner, or we're just gonna like, you know, whatever.
But you spend a lot of time in Nashville.
Nashville, yep. About every 2 weeks I'm in Nashville. I have an office in Nashville. I work with a lot of artists out in Nashville.
Now, can you tell me the new names that you're working with that are coming out right now and that will be really big in the future?
Well, real big? I don't think it'll be really big in the future. I wish I knew that. It'd be like winning the lottery. Take those numbers. You'll do well with those. Well, you know, some people that you've also been introduced to, like Courtney and Lizzie, the two new teen acts I've been working on for the last couple of years. They're doing great. Courtney's going to smash. I mean, you just met with her, and that's going to be an incredible pop single. Lizzie's doing real well with her country single. I'm working with this new act. It's amazing. The guy does levitation. He does like David Copperfield magic while he sings opera. And Joe.
Joe Spinella.
Yes, and so he'll be singing, and one of my songs he sings in his show while he brings people across the whole audience. I mean, it's an intense act, so you know a little bit about that. Just different acts, but and very diversified. And then there's Susanna, who's the harpist.
Susanna Pinchero.
Yeah, she's the harpist that holds a seat in Bulgaria, New York. But the new CD with her is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's the chamber orchestra that backs her up during the harp solos and whatnot are comprised of some of the best people in the classical business and you know, Philharmonic people. I mean, it's great. I mean, Susanna's you know, she, in my opinion, you know, when it comes to classical, that, I mean, I stand behind that. I've not done a classical project in a long time, and having done many in the early years, this one has been worth the wait. So that's going to be a nice blessing for the fall. So I'd say it gets diverse, and there's a bunch more. I mean, there's all different kind of acts. There's Americana, there's rock acts, there's, you know, I'm working with Tom Jones's kid now, which is amazing. Jonathan, yeah, Jonathan Jones, and we have a new single. I don't know if it's going to be out this year. The work is done. It's just the kid's all over the place, so with business and whatnot. So, but never a slow day at work. So yeah. Let's hope for the best and just keep it musical.
Yeah, and then also tell me about your background a little bit, because everybody know you as a great producer and you have your AP Music Entertainment.
No.
Now, how did you start your company? Like, what was the root?
Oh, it was never anything like, I mean, this evolved. It became this. I actually just started as a piano player. I mean, I just like playing, and piano bars and
like a piano man.
Yeah, piano
like
man.
a real piano man.
Well, I mean, it's funny because that's what I did in Times Square for over 10 years, and you can still find traces of videos. And like the Marriott Marquis was my mainstay for a while.
You had a contract with them, or how did they?
They kept me for 10 years. I mean, we worked every year. We renewed, and you know, but it was never. We never had to really negotiate much. I mean, I liked working there, and they needed me to some point because it became like a routine with the tourists and stuff. And I'm a pretty easygoing person. Just give me a piece of the building. We're cool. You
now,
know,
do you feel like artists, they should pay their dues first before they make it in the show business?
I think a real artist automatically pays the dues by just agreeing to be an artist because it's gonna come no matter what.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't look at it like paying the dues. I mean, like, you know, like for example, last night we did a 12-hour photo shoot. Nobody slept. After this, we run to the rehearsal for
Courtney,
you know, a big show for Courtney, and you know, we're all stringing it together. And I don't think you can ever think about it like, oh, I've paid my dues today, so tomorrow's going to be better. I don't think I've ever thought like that. I know what you're saying. I mean, people, and believe me, I've heard the saying, and I hear it every day. But I actually, you know, it's part of the show. It's like telling your car, you know, I think you need to be like a car today. You know, you go to the car, you start it up, it drives, it gets you from point A to point B. Your car's okay with it. I think you need to think about in the entertainment business that way. You need to wake up and say, well, this is what I want to do. This is what we need to finish up from yesterday, and I'm, you know, kind of happy about it. I mean, if you're absolutely miserable and you have to think about that stuff, it's probably not the right position to be in. Yeah.
Now, from the past, like learning about classical music and also modern, what do you think who are from the composers that actually touched you the most when you grew up?
Classical?
In classical, in general, that actually affected? Because I heard your songs and they're very, very catchy, and also you have such an interesting classical twist to it.
Well, I mean, growing up, I listened and played Liszt, Rachmaninoff, I mean, Bach, Handel. I mean, I love Chopin. I mean, who doesn't love Chopin? You know, but I also studied a lot of different composers and artists, you know, in Berkeley, in the classical genre, like Stravinsky, and you know, with Susanna's new project with the orchestra, with the Philharmonic, it's Roussel, it's Debussy, it's you know, it goes on. So I mean, I never get tired of classical. Classical is, you know, it's pretty deep. I mean, it depends on the mood you're in. You know, you'll wake up if it's a certain afternoon, you just listen to classical. There are some mornings I wake up, I listen to jazz. I'll be like, put some Bill Evans on, you know, put some Oscar Peterson on. I mean, that's the mood I'm in. Or if it's pop, I mean, you know, I love top 40. I love Hot 100. I mean, I love radio. You know, and everyone's like, oh, this sucks and this is this. You know, I don't think anything sucks. It's just if I'm not into it, then I just won't listen to it. But I really love, depending on what mood I'm in and what the job is or what my motivation is that day, week, month, or year, that's what I get into. You know, so that's kind of
when you were growing up, like a little kid, what was big deal for you? Like, what was something that you said, I want to be like this person? Or what was your goal that you would grow up and you mold into, like, composer? Did you ever think that you'll become
no.
a man?
Growing up, my goal was really just to try to be happy. I was a courting, and I mean, I remember I just was kind of an introvert growing up. So
was it difficult for you? What is your family? You have brothers, sisters?
I have brothers. No, it wasn't difficult. Growing up had its great. My parents, my family, they're great. I mean, it was me. I was a train wreck growing up. I mean, I was just that kid that, you know, I always had one wheel on the track and the other one just kind of like, you know. So it's like there would be some really good parts of the day, and there was always a lot of really bad parts of the day. And at this point in my life, I'm starting to get it together, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of figuring yourself out. You know, you got to just fall off the track a few times. I will definitely say that the last 10, 15 years of my life have been great. And if you look at the first part of your life, the first 10 or 15, you say to yourself, well, it really wasn't bad, because if it didn't happen, well, heck, it'd be happening right now, and that would really suck. You know, I think it's good to make your mistakes early on, you know, and figure things out, and, you know, everything like that. So I'm really content, you know. I'm content that you're here. I don't know who these guys are. No, I'm content. I'm happy that things are good, and they are the way they're supposed to be.
And then I've actually realized that you're molding a lot of young talents, and I know a huge phenomena that people are crazy about is Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
And of course, of course, the original producer was you. And we really want to know, like, how did it all started, and like what actually gave you notice that this girl is special.
Well, she kidnapped me in her spaceship. And, Stephanie is she's a dear friend. I actually, to clarify for people following this immediately, because now the phone's going, that's the guy. We got to get our records to him. I am literally the first guy. I mean, I don't even think people even credit me sometimes because they say, oh, well, Interscope was the first people. And for the real world, that's a bunch of bullshit. Interscope, Def Jam were not the real people. They're the real people. You guys are real. Relax. They're all getting in the limos now. And they own the limos. These guys, they're credible. They were definitely the launch pad for Stephanie. I started working with Stephanie. I mean, no one even knows about this first project. I mean, when she was going into college at NYU, I mean, I was brought in to help her do her audition CD, and or it might have been a cassette at the time. I think we were up to CDs then, and so she got into Tish with her jazz program, with the jazz program and whatnot, and that was the first time I was brought in to get to know her, work with her, and all that kind of stuff. She did her 4 years, or basically just shy of 4 years, and she reached out to me and said, I have this band, and her dad and I were really good friends. I mean, I'm really close with her family. They're nice people. They reached out to me and said, I think the story went something like this. I'm not sure if I've exaggerated it in my head a little bit, but I believe the story was like, well, she's not going to graduate until she does another record, and we need to bring you in to finish her thing. I think she sort of held her graduation, as ransom to her parents. Like, I want that guy to come back and work with my band. And so, with that being said, we worked together for a bunch of months. I had just opened a studio in North Jersey in Englewood on Grand Avenue, and we did this what's called the Red and Blue Sessions. And like every artist that I work with, you see a vision and you go for it. So then we got into booking shows, and she was really great at them. She really, went out there and and found what gigs to play, and then I would do whatever I could to help her out along the way. And then between a bunch of the Bitter End gigs and all these jobs around the village, people started showing. There was a big concert that I think helped. One of the pinnacle shows was the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and it's a big organization out of New York. I mean, I believe Sinatra was once a co-chairman, and there's a lot of very famous people involved, and they have the awards every year. It's a big deal, and so she was invited to be a guest performer as like the new spotlight artist, and it was at that show, where it was like, I thought that was like the pinnacle of what we've hoped to achieve, was try to get her a big showcase. It turned out to be that one. I saw people from Def Jam there. Interscope was there. There was a couple of buddies of mine from Sony were there, and I remember sitting at the bar and I'm like, wow, this is great, And what I do love about Stephanie is that she never forgets who she is and where she came from. And I mean, she did a shout out to me, like, she stopped the show and she's just like, I want to thank my producer and my friend for keeping this all together. And there was a lot of keeping this together with her. I vow, I never, I'm like a psychiatrist, I don't share the details of what it took to make things happen, because it's personal and you really develop a trusting, loving relationship. Unless, of course, you don't pay me and you burn me, then I'm going to tell everybody what you do at night. No. But there was always a lot of keeping it together. And every artist has their emotional times. Every producer, writer, I'm an artist myself. I mean, we all have our times where we have to, when I'm weak, help me out, and that's what a producer's job is, So we kept it together, and, within 6 months, she was signing deals. And it's great because, and the other nice thing about her, she puts this in her books, and I've never once asked for a credit from her, and every time I turn around it's just like, hey, can you help me cut a vocal? I saw you in this book. And I mean, it's not even just in the States, it's all over the world. It's in London, it's in Japan. It's really pretty cool. And some people have an issue. A lot of people that she interacted with, had issues with her from then till now, because they felt like they were owed something. I mean, I think it's a bad way to go through it. I mean, I'm speaking on her behalf. She never screwed anybody, as far as I know. And to this day, I mean, I turn around and there's always like a proper credit, and you know, and that's a good thing. You know, in this world, you don't want to be discredited, and you know this. I mean, in your business, I mean, come on, you've got this booming magazine, and you know that there's someone else down the street trying to copy it, or someone saying, "Oh, I did this, and you didn't really paint that," and all that kind of stuff. It's a horrible thing, and believe me, people try, and but that's the nice thing about Stephanie. She's as real as the day is long, and she's always been a good friend.
And now, who's writing her songs, or did you work on songs together with her?
We worked on songs, but she really is the writer. I mean, she, you know, a lot of people ask that question, like, you know, where did she come up with this material, and how do you explain the transition from then to now? And it's like, go talk to her. I mean, she's a monster. I mean, and I mean that in, you know, in the best way possible. And the girl can play her ass off. She sings her ass off, and she writes her ass off, and she's, you know, that's. You know, you see the heart and soul in that whole, that embodiment is Stephanie. It's Gaga, you know. That's what we're talking about, you know. She's it.
Now, did you come up with a name, or that was her idea?
That wasn't me. Actually, that was something between her and Rob. Rob Fasari was the producer after I came along, and she never even explained this to me. I read this somewhere, so I know as much as maybe everyone else knows.
Well,
it was like a radio, it was a typo
Gaga.
or something. It was like spell correction. They were talking about a Queen song or something, and Radio Gaga got, you know, spell checked into Lady Gaga or something like that. I don't know. I tried it the mic, if it didn't work. You know.
Now, I know you have this place here. Do you like to come home when you travel a lot? Because I know you.
Oh, this isn't mine. I break into this place. These people in Boca, yeah. These people are great. They're Asian retired doctors. I stay 9.5 months out of the year. I leave during the Chinese New Year. And
what is your favorite holiday, by the way?
I love all holidays. But
You
my
do?
favorite, I like winter, Christmas time. I'm still waiting for another big white Christmas. I tried making a few myself, but you know, my neighbors get pissed at the snow machines. No, I do. This is my place. There's just kidding about the Asian thing. I love all holidays. I like the change of seasons. I love Halloween. I mean, I'll still.
Why do you like Halloween so much?
Because I like to take people's candy.
Oh, you do?
I like candy.
Do you like to dress up?
I do.
Oh, you do?
And for Halloween
It's your favorite
too.
character.
I want to dress up like you tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say, hey everyone, this is my magazine. I'm taking donations. No. I like when people are happy and kids are happy during Halloween. So like my neighbors' kids and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I really dress up, but I've been to a few Halloween parties with my friends, and those were a blast. I love New Year's Day. It's the quietest day of the year. You know, everyone's just kind of like, I mean, besides being dead or pissed drunk or hungover, you wake up New Year's Day and you don't have to worry about anything. You know that you can sleep late, you can watch football, you can go to the diner at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. New Year's Day to me is the easiest day of the year. So I look forward to that one day.
Just one in the year.
Yeah, you know why? Because vacations, they don't work. I mean, you go on vacation, your phone rings like crazy. I worry about things that are not complete. You know, I worry about, did I do the best I could before I left? You can't plan a vacation. It's horrible. It's.
When was your last vacation?
I don't know. My last real vacation was I went to Italy. It was my parents' 50th anniversary, so I took them to Italy. A bunch of us went 2 or 3 years ago. That was my last real vacation. I mean, work vacations, I'm in London all the time. I'm working with different groups there. See, I like to work, so those are like mini vacations. If I'm in the studio for 10 hours, then we go out at night in London. I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know. But again, you never relax, though, because the phone's always ringing, emails are always coming in, and your mind spins. When that doesn't happen, then you're like, oh, crap, where are the emails and phone calls, you know? It's like, oh, you know, you worry about what's going on everywhere else, so.
Now, what do you think about those competition, and have you tried to put your artist in like The Voice or American Idol?
Yeah, I've had a few. I have
like
one in X Factor now. I'm not, you know, listen, I'm a big fan of those things, but I'm not like somebody who just pushes people to go there. They have to want that. I mean, and usually that comes down to like the individual person. If, like, for example, someone like Lizzie or Courtney, I mean, where the records are already coming out and they're being put on the radio. And going on to X Factor, The Voice, and, you know,
I think it's good
America's
for them.
Got Talent. Well, it depends. It's sort of, you want to be careful what you wish for, because there is a contract involved when you start placing. You know, once you get into first or second slots, I mean, if a lot of people today are financing to increase the odds of exposure, buying the PR people, the PR firms, both radio and media, and it's a business. It's always been a business. It's that people are starting awake and going, hold on, it's a business. It's been a business. So so when you do all that, and then all of a sudden you win the voice, you've got to sign away some portion of what your next 2 years of decisions may be. And I've never read a whole thing from top to bottom. I've glanced at it, especially for X Factor, because I have somebody in X Factor now.
You do?
A friend
Can you
of
tell
mine.
the name?
Ashley Elion is coming out in September. She just made the 3rd or 4th round.
She's a singer?
She's a singer. She's the daughter of Chuck Elion from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Phenomenal singer. I mean, just a great singer. And I spoke to them and I said, well, listen, I said, what happens? And the father said, and she said to me too, they spoke to an attorney. They said, well, she's not really doing anything else that's going to conflict, and we can afford to give up the time. And my cat,
yes.
My cat wants to be on American Got Talent. There he is. So there are some questions to be asked, but listen, if that works, it works. I think they're great shows. I mean, I'm a big fan of Blake Shelton and Keith Urban, and I mean, I'm working a lot in Nashville. I've been fortunate enough to rub shoulders and see a lot of people, and it's.
What do you think of Simon Cowell?
I love Simon.
What do you think, like, his whole judgment on artists? Like, everybody's saying he's so tough, but
I mean, I'm sorry, he is tough, right? But yeah, of course he's right. I mean, I think he knows how to rattle you a little bit. You remember years back when Howard Stern was like, I mean, he's always the shock jock, but now to me, he's like, now he's actually the kind of guy you don't mind talking to for a few more than 20 seconds, because, but when he was, I don't want to date myself, but let's go back to like the late 80s or not, let's go to the 90s. I mean, he was just controversial day and night. He still is. But, I mean, he was getting bounced between stations because his ratings were ridiculous, and owners of the stations couldn't handle the conversation, the antics. I mean, I love that stuff. I would be in a car going, this is great. I mean, he really just had 3 midgets on the show and 2 naked women and a farm animal. It's just like, where else do you hear that? And I've read his books and I've seen the movies, and Simon Cowell musically is in some respects the shock factor of what that was back then. And it seems to have worked out well for Howard Stern. And I don't think Simon Cowell is looking at this entirely, to some degree he is, but not entirely, of pocket change and what am I going to financially make at the end of this episode. I believe that if you're gonna, if you want to be successful, you need to deal with what sucks about you. I think you have to be honest about what if you play a chord and it sucks, you're like, oh, that sucks, but if you're playing jazz, you're like, okay, that's a jazz chord. If you're playing, rock, it's like, okay, that's rock. But if you sit down and go, and someone's like, that was great. Well, that sucks. You need to know that you suck, so you can make that better. And I think the problem with a lot of people is that they never grew up knowing that they sucked until they were 40. And it's sad when your mother tells you when you're living in someone's basement that you suck now. You should have been told you sucked when you were 8, so you could be good by the time you were 15. So I think it's important to tell people who they are. And if you're great, then you've got brilliance and talents, well, then cultivate that and work it. And that's what I think has created a lot of the incredible, the country girl that's all over The Voice now. She's 16. I mean, she's working with, Scott Borchetta, Taylor Swift's coming. I don't know if that's public yet, but hey, I'm just telling you for the first time. She's amazing, and I think you just got to be honest about it, and so. Were
your parents honest with you?
Oh my God.
Or what would they say to you? Because you probably played all day long, right?
I did this because I really didn't do anything else. It wasn't like, I loved it, but I felt like this was like my support team. This made sense to me growing up, and I had a brother who was a classical pianist for his whole life, and my parents would not. He quit, and he was older than me. He quit after 16 years of like legit training. My parents would not give me a lesson until my senior year in high school. They just didn't believe it. So every allowance I could do something, I'd buy a book or I'd listen to something. And I was really into Dr. John growing up. Like, I was like, another bride, another girl, and I'm like a little little kid playing this stuff, and I was like, is he drunk? You know, I'm like, I was like 2 feet tall, going, you know, and you go, making whoopee. My parents like, he's making whoopee, and I'm like, yeah, you know, and I'm doing this by ear. I had no idea what I was doing, and to me, it was just like, oh, the same old shit, same old. But that was my thing growing up. I dug the blues, and I dug just listening to stuff, and you know, then and then somebody would turn me on to classical, and I'd be like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, cool, what's this? Whatever the chords work. You know, I think it was Bach, right? Or I was Bach's son, actually. Yeah, number 14. I think he had him in a cold winter's night with some Russian spy.
Can you do some Mozart? Can you do some Mozart?
I can do it all. But anyway, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you. So anyway, but yeah, my parents were supportive, but they finally they granted me a lesson, and they just figured, well, we're not doing this again. We raised your brother, and he just let us down. And my brother discovered girls at 17, and the music career went out the window.
Really? Was that the reason?
He's still phenomenal. He went back to it eventually and found his way, and he's brilliant. Everything my brothers do, I mean, they were all really pretty amazing at what they do.
But how do you think a child could keep the focus? Because there's a lot of distractions in video games, especially now with computers. How do you think one can actually focus on
You got to love it. You have to have a passion for it. I really love this. I didn't, you know, you don't know if you question yourself sometimes as a kid, like, you know, is this what I want to do? And, you know, you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And if your family or your friends are saying, oh, you know, come on, let's go out, let's go party, let's do this, you know, if you care about a little bit about what the world thinks, then that becomes an issue. I always care about what other people think to some degree. In the end, I'm very selfish. In the end, you know, this interview's done in like 5 minutes because I really have to go to rehearsal.
Yes.
No,
do you have to be selfish, you think?
Yes, you have to be so self-absorbed. No, but you have to be so endless, and you have to be willing to write until the song is perfect. You have to be willing to mix a song until your worst enemy thinks it's phenomenal. You know, you know, your hardest critic is going to be like, wow, that's amazing. You have to be willing to do really what the other person is either incapable of doing or not willing to do, because time doesn't matter, because all that matters is perfection. And there's a price for that. And, you know, it's not been easy. I mean, I was married years back to a really great person, and, you know, it didn't work out because of my schedule. I mean, mainly. So you do get hurt along the way a lot, and unfortunately people do get hurt that are connected with you. And again, you gotta know what you want, and this is what's for me. I mean, honestly, if I didn't do if I wasn't in music, I'd probably just be in a whole different way of life, and I'm sure it wouldn't be great. I'd be that angry guy grumbling to himself down the street, which I actually do that, but at least I can come back to this and talk to the piano, and the piano talks back to me, so it's good.
Now, when you break up or something emotional happens to you...
I don't break up with anybody.
No.
I let them go.
Oh. When you let them go, does that bring out something else from you in music, or it doesn't
Always, matter? But I don't know anymore because I think the word is out not to date me. So, no, I was kidding. Of course. I mean, you know, I don't, you know, some people actually try to, this is a great thing. Someone told me, I'm trying to create a lot of problems in my life so I have things to write about. I'm like, you might want to speak to the shrink on a way to creating problems. You will naturally have problems in this business. And if you can laugh at it in a very healthy sort of way, I mean, it doesn't sound healthy, but if you can just let it, you know, bounce here and there and accept it and work it, I think you'll have enough material to write about forever.
Now, how's it like with the country and with the rock? What do you think or the classical? Is it brutally all of these genres are similar in competition and everything else, or one is easier?
I mean, you know, country, I think in the last 5 years has exploded. I mean, I think it's crossed over amazing. I mean, you look at Billboard and the crossover charts. I mean, you got Lady Antebellum, you got Hunter Hayes. I mean, they're on both charts. You've got, I mean, Zach Brown. I mean, you know, you got all these artists that are just making noise, and these new up-and-comers. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you know, I just heard tracks from, well, I was listening to the Taylor Swift Red CD the other day. It's not new. I mean, it's been out for a couple months, but we had the same mastering company on Courtney's new single, Shake, that's coming out. And I just sat back again and listened to it, and I'm like, you know, so I said, Taylor Swift's amazing. You know, I mean, it's all crossover now. I mean, you would not think today she'd be writing the way she was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But she's brilliant in what she does. She evolves with the times, and you know, she's sort of become Katy Perry-esque, Gaga-esque in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been unheard of. So I think country has just become country just kind of became, you know, went full circle. I think rock is always rock. Rock is not as prominent now as it was. I'm a big rock fan. I mean, I toured with Ritchie Blackmore and a lot of these huge rock bands in the 80s and 90s. I was very young then.
Wildest moment with them?
You couldn't print it.
Oh, try me.
No, it's everything that you stereotypically read about rock and roll.
Yeah.
We did it.
Was it all?
It was great.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably part of the reason I got divorced too, but yeah, maybe.
Was
No. Yeah, I wasn't even married then. Rock and roll is great. I mean, I love the big rock, the B3 organs. I mean, I used to have hair down to here, you know, until I got this wig, and I had the big boots, and I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I lived Spinal Tap kind of, you know, Spinal Tap's way back, but I had a great time. I love rock and roll. I mean, I still I'll play Van Halen CDs. I just went and saw Van Halen. I mean, I saw Aerosmith. I saw Bon Jovi last weekend. I rock and roll is, you know, that's blood, man. Yeah, I mean, and it will never die. I mean, you know, it's just right now it's.
Do you think Elvis or Beatles, the beginners of it all?
Wait, what's the question?
Do you think Elvis or Beatles were the whole completely change of the whole genre and everything else?
Oh, I think that before them, you're going back to like Muddy Waters and Scott Johnson and Riverboat Blues. I mean, that's, you know, Bessie Smith. I mean, I think that was more of I think Elvis and the Beatles became more of a result of them. You know, Ray Charles. I mean, you know, I think Elvis and the Beatles kind of culminated the you know, without getting too far gone here, took the blues and or what was being done in big band and, you know, translated that to bar chords and, you know, and then Chubby Checker, Fats Domino, and all these guys just kind of rock and roll just sort of like boiled over, you know. But it started way back when, you know, way back, and these guys just commercialized it and took what they felt was the best of the best and ended up on mass appeal. You know, two of my favorites though. I mean, Elvis and the Beatles. And that's you know, that's one of the biggest chapters in the musical Bible. You know, so. Now,
what's in the store for you in the future?
Hell, I don't know.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to more of today and bigger tomorrows, you know, and just keeping it going, you know. I always tell people, just as long as you got something to be inspired by for tomorrow and finish up today, then you're doing great. Mm-hmm. You know, the one thing I don't ever want to find myself in a position where I ever say I'm bored or I don't know what to do or I'm not motivated. I mean, I remember, this is, you know, you asked me a while back, like, what was it like? What was your parents like growing up? Was there a support team? Were your parents honest? My father, I mean, would be like, you know, if I said as a kid, I'm bored, he'll be like, find something to do, build something, create something. And I'm like, you know, start planning on your college applications. What do you want to do? Give me the 20 things that excite you. I'm like, well, I'm 2 years old. You know, I'm like, I want to play with these blocks and maybe chuck one at you. If I can knock you unconscious, then maybe I can get what I want. No. My parents, I mean, they're very business working families, you know, motivation.
They're still married?
Oh yeah, 52 years this past June 5th. Happy anniversary.
Amazing. Amazing.
Maybe 53.
53?
52 or 53 years. Yeah, they're great. I mean, and they're as young as they were when I was a kid. You know, they really have it going good, so it's nice. But there was no time to be lazy when I was growing up. You weren't allowed to be. It was always work, do something. If you were bored in the summer, then we got paper routes, and if it was winter time and you needed $20, we shoveled driveways, and if you really worked hard enough with those things, then you were allowed to play guitar or join band or get a piano lesson. and you were rewarded for what your passions were based on how hard you worked. It was never like, my parents never just gave us things. It was a different way back then. And you know, at the time it was tough. I mean, we couldn't process it. I want this. You can't have it. You have to earn it. But earning it means you get a choice to keep it later on because you choose.
You choose.
Because of, you know what the value of that proponent of your life is.
Now,
that's pretty cool.
What's your best quality that you have being raised by them? What's the best
that
quality?
I'm still successful in doing what I'm doing today, relatively. You know, that I do have that motivation and that spirit to it fuels itself. You know, that's to me, that's a gift. I'm blessed that they've instilled that in me, and I'm thankful that I have my beliefs and my strengths to forge ahead because of it. It takes, you know, it all works together. You know, it's a synergetic sort of thing.
Synergetic.
I forgot what movie that was. It goes like synergy. I'm like, what an idiot. I'm like, no, sorry. I get it. It all sort of feeds off each other.
Do you believe in synergy and energy around you?
I believe in energy. I believe in all that spirituality stuff, and you know, yeah.
Do you have faith?
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
It helped you through.
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe, or you know, I definitely believe that everything has a time and place, and it happens, and you know, I think you can mold and you somewhat be malleable to things that are to come, but I definitely believe in that. I don't think there's that much that's random.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Now, 3 wishes.
I got the default.
But be honest.
World peace.
We heard that.
Yes. More organic food.
Your last 3 wishes. That really, really
health,
comes
man.
from your
health is it. You know, I am, and I do mean this. I'm not joking around. Unfortunately, you know, it seems like the older you get, you lose some of the. It's harder to accept losing people, and people. I have a few friends that have been sick for a while, and just the last 5 years have been brutal. I mean, you know, some people, really close family and friends have passed away, and I just lost a cousin in his mid-50s that just was like boom, and a dear friend. I mean, I was working with Al Martino, Johnny Fontaine from The Godfather for 2 years. I mean, we did Thank You for Being My Wife right here. I mean, that song spiraled to #3 out of nowhere, and you know,
right in this room.
In this, we actually worked. There's pictures of us at this piano and his piano in Beverly Hills, and we recorded all the vocals downstairs in the studio. And I think when we lost Al, that was a wake up call again. I mean, I think you're always reminded that life is real. Like, you know, that's gonna hurt. You know.
And he was young.
And he was healthy and young. I mean, he was 80 years old, but the guy was still driving across country. I mean, he was still taking me out. We'd be out in Los Angeles, and he was like, "Come on, let's go out for another." And I'm just like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Don't you have a wife? You know, you want another wife?" You know. No, Judy's great. Judy and I and Allison, his daughter, we're really tight. Losing Al was the beginning of the wake-up call for me that you got to love the person you're with, and you have to respect them, and if you don't, and you don't agree with something, and you have a fight, you got to figure out how to fix it. And fortunately, Al taught me so much of that. Al was he was, in addition to my parents, Al was an amazing mentor to me. He somehow put this like chip of wisdom in me that I still feed off of today. And I mean, we would be, let's say he was doing a show in Atlantic City or Vegas or wherever it was, and he's like, "Come on, kid, I'll follow you in, let's go." And I'm like, "Great." And he'd be singing my song, and I'd be like, "Nothing." And I'm like, and then afterwards we'd be at some like mob type joint having pasta. It was never a menu, and some guy with 3 fingers would deliver you food, and it's like, "You will like this food, I will kill you. I'm good, I'm with you. Bring on the garlic." And Al would sit down and out of nowhere be like, "You know, Joe, one time I was talking to Winston Churchill," and I'm like, "Well, there's something you just don't hear every day." You know,
right.
You know, I was talking to, like, you know, Washington the other night, but it was true. He was, you know, this is a guy who dated Marilyn Monroe, and he's sitting in the same room with me, and he has the most beautiful wife in the world of 41 years at the time, and you see that he's got it together, and I think he recognized the fact that there was a percentage of me that needed to be tightened up along the way. And we were doing great things together, but he became this father figure in my life, and I needed it. I desperately needed it. I'm scared to think of what things might have been like had he not influenced me. I believe he was there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to have had him come in, and this great record that we did with some great country stars. I mean, you know, Jenny Gill, Vince Gill's daughter. You know, we did this Garth Brooks thing. I mean, it was on CMT. It was really cool stuff. But anyway, health is so important. He taught me about health. He taught me to get. I mean, I used to take sleeping pills because I was so wound up. He got me off that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, pal, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Get off that crap. And it wasn't heavy dosage, but I got into a routine. I need to go to sleep. It's 5 in the morning. I need to get up at 12. There's no way I can. Boom. He got me off things like that. He taught me to think clear. He taught me about patience. I mean, he taught me about a lot of things, and in addition to so many other people. But when it's renewed and you remember what more present day, it helps out to reinstill the facts. So Al was a big improvement, and I think I gain a lot of good things from people that have goodness in them.
Mm-hmm.
But he was definitely like, you know, he was the turning point. You know, when the relief pitcher comes in the 6th or 7th inning, he was a great boost to my life, a breath of reality, a breath of clarity, wisdom.
And
So,
he gave you like a new start, probably.
yeah, he really helped to revamp the next direction,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I owe him a huge amount of gratitude for that. So, and yeah, and not to discredit anybody else, there's a lot of amazing people. You know, you're an amazing person. Everyone here is amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
they have a good team.
where do they go?
Well, they have a very good team.
My cat.
Chris and Jared behind this camera.
My cat's like, come on, it's feeding time. I'm sorry. So he's here. You just heard his name. Cat. But anyway, so yeah, it's a good run. Let's hope it keeps going. So my wish is health. Man, you got to take care of yourself, and every day try to do a couple good things just for the body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be careful. Moderation is the key. Moderation is good medicine. You know, and I think if you're healthy, happiness is easier.
Mm-hmm.
Success is great. But I know a lot of successful people that are miserable. So I think you have to be healthy and happy first. I think you got to start off alive. You sort of got to be able to wake up. And then I think if you can make one person smile a day or do something nice a day, you know, it could be anything. Help a lady with a kid get through a door. Just, I think it's good for your karma. I think it's good for your soul. And I think that will reflect back. And I think positive reflections really bounce off. It's good energy, you know. So without getting too deep, I think that's important. So health, happiness, and success. But there's the definition of what I've been saying. I do mean it.
That's very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So many years since I do dreams of going home, coming true. You've been my friend, my love, throughout my life. I wanna thank you for being my wife. verklempt when I do it this early in the morning. You know, I had a little bit of vino last night, and then you bring out the emotions in me. How you doing?
Thank you, Joe, very much.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a very, very good journey, and we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you, baby. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
all this. PopImpressKA. Let's do it straight now. PopImpressKA. PopImpressKA. It's upside down. Scott with a pop. PopImpressKA.
Thank you.
Are we done?
Yes.
PopImpressKA.
Did I like that one?
PopImpressKA. Hello.
That's behind the scenes.
Shut it up.
Oh, we
It's
get
my-
'em.
Ah.